Greetings, fellow Whovians, and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. With Season 7 of classic Doctor Who being released as part of the Doctor Who Collection Blu Ray set this week, I thought this is the perfect time to look back on those classic stories and rank them from worst to best. So hit the subscribe button, that'll really help out this channel as I rank from worst to best Doctor Who Season 7. I'm going to say worst loosely because this is just a stellar season of Doctor Who, and if anything, just a great example of how to relaunch Doctor Who into a new era. So this is from the 70s. It's the first time Doctor Who is in colour. We've got a new Doctor, a new companion that really broke the mold in terms of being like a scientific equal to the Doctor, something that we're not really seeing that often in Doctor Who, and definitely made her mark in the form of Liz Shaw to what other companions can be for Doctor Who. It was a more grounded Doctor Who, quite literally, as the third Doctor is starting his exile on Earth. And obviously all these Earth-based stories which could have hindered Doctor Who, if anything, really made the writers think outside the box and give us some fantastic, literally groundbreaking stories. Obviously taking inspiration from Quatermass, but really putting a big stamp on Doctor Who and what Doctor Who can be, which we've definitely seen, if anything, in the 2005 revised series. You know, it's definitely, you would think it has definitely taken inspiration from this particular season. But like I said, one of these stories have to go for. There's 4 classic stories in this season, and one of them has to be fourth. And my pick for that is going to be Doctor Who and the Silurians. Even though it's in fourth, that doesn't mean it is a bad story. Far from it. Like I said, it's just a very, very strong season. And I do like the ideas of another intelligent alien, intelligent creature living beneath the surface of the earth, how their civilization became practically extinct, and obviously the humans, they raised up to be the dominant life forms on the planet, and how to sort of deal with that conflict and resolution. And yeah, there was some brilliant stuff in this story. I loved the quick-wittedness of the third Doctor. This is only the third Doctor's second story, John Pertwee's second story as the third Doctor, and there was some fantastic one-liners, particularly in part 1. I love the bit where there was Peter Miles's character when he's saying to the Doctor, "You're going to dismantle a £15 million scientific equipment with a sonic screwdriver," and the Doctor retorted, "It's not worth 15 million pins if it doesn't work." Just little bits like that just really nailed John Pertwee's persona as the third Doctor as he's adjusting to life on Earth as well. Coupled together with a brand new alien in the form of the Silurians, again, something that's been revived in modern Doctor Who, and hopefully will get touched upon in the upcoming spin-off, The War Between the Land and Sea. I know it's more primarily dealing with the Sea Devils, but surely the Silurians have got to have a look in this particular spin-off as well. And I honestly prefer the look of the Silurians here to when we did see them again in Warriors of the Deep. When I finished watching this story, I wish we did have another Silurian story in between that and Warriors of the Deep. Maybe that's kind of what it was with the Matt Smith 11th Doctor Silurian two-parter, I suppose. But yeah, here it's just, yeah, loved all of it. And there's some great moments, some great casting. Like I said, mentioning Peter Miles. Jeffrey Palmer was here as well in this story. Paul Darrow making an appearance as Captain Hawkins, I want to say. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But yeah, great to see Paul Darrow as well. And yeah, some very relevant stuff that's happened in this story that's, you know, carrying on now. We had a bacterial virus being spread across the country. Yeah, we've had that quite recently with the pandemic, and just the denying of that from Peter Miles's character, as well as he just basically loses the plot. And yeah, the standoff between two powerhouses. That's quite relevant, particularly what's happening quite recently. And what is the sort of solution? And this is definitely the ending of this. I won't give it away if you haven't seen the story before, but the ending of that resolution, yeah, where do you land on that side of it? Do you agree with the Brigadier's approach, or do you agree with the Doctor's approach? It's there's arguments 2 and 4. So yeah, this is just a good story. So please don't um, have me thinking because it's fourth that it's a bad story. Absolutely not. You do need to check it out. Number 3, Ambassadors of Death. Probably in another week or so, it might have been reversed. But what I did enjoy about Ambassadors of Death, I feel like it carried over the themes from Doctor Who and the Silurians. It's a very sort of similar-ish story, but in this case, it's a alien threat from outer space rather than being creatures from beneath the surface. Again, two giant races on the brink of war, and who's going to shoot first? And it's only going to be one scared human or scared alien that's going to pull that trigger, and then it all blows apart. And obviously the Doctor just trying to sort of investigate that and try and go for a peaceful resolution. If anything, they could have hammered it home with kind of the events of what happened in Doctor Who and Silurians and really sort of spread that across this episode. I feel it in that sort of sense of watching it the other way around. And they do kind of mention it briefly in the first part of the Ambassadors of Death, but not really sort of carrying on that theme with the sort of tension between the Third Doctor and the Brigadier. But maybe because we're seeing it through the eyes of a third person and it's the Colonel, and I can't remember the name. I'm so sorry, that was really, really bad of me. And obviously his fear mongering to start a war with these aliens because he just can't understand them. He's scared of them, and everything that's different is a threat. I just feel that Ambassadors of Death, even though I felt like this season was still kind of finding its way in terms of its presentation for Doctor Who, with the cold openings happening at every episode or the cliffhanger recap, and then we have the boom Ambassadors of Death in that weird sort of cat screeching sting. I did like it. I just feel like it was just a bit more polished than Doctor Who and the Silurians, with great action sequences. I love the battle with Unit and those henchmen having a gunfight. That was really impressive. I did like the music for the Unit theme for this particular story. And that's what I didn't really mention with that. That's what's kind of also put Doctor Who and Silurians a bit bottom, because I felt the score for that one, particularly by Dudley Simpson, wasn't my favourite. But the score for Ambassador of Death is brilliant, fantastic. And yeah, if Unit was to have their own spin-off story in the 70s, that theme music that they used would definitely be the actual overall theme for that spin-off show. And if anything, I hope they revamp that up for the war between land and sea. Fingers crossed, that'll be amazing. I doubt it, but that would be great to see. I honestly don't think that Ambassadors of Death is one of those stories that gets talked about that much in the Whoniverse. It's one of those stories that I've not really watched that often. In fact, this was the first time for this particular video, and I'm planning on to do a review at some point, a more in-depth review of Ambassadors of Death, because that was the first time that I watched it. But I did enjoy it, and honestly, I just felt like it was a more polished performance in terms of a 7-episode story, where we had 3 of those in this particular season. And yes, there was both those, that and Ambassadors of Death did have a little bit of draggy parts in the middle. But honestly, yeah, I just felt that Ambassadors of Death carried on the themes of what happened in Doctor Who and Silurians and just kind of raised the mark and just made me appreciate the previous story more, thanks to what happened in Ambassadors of Death. Hope that made sense. Number 2 on this ranked list is Spearhead from Space, where it all started for this season. The debut story of Jon Pertwee as the Third Doctor. And this is just full-on action, B-movie fun. It's all filmed on 16mm camera film as well. I think pretty much all shot entirely on location. I think that might have been the first Doctor Who story to be filmed all on location. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But this was a very good way of introducing a brand new Doctor with a bunch of aliens, the Nestine conscience that basically brings back or brings plastic objects to life, aka the Autons. So this is the debut of the Autons, and yeah, it's just B-movie fun. It establishes Unit as this organization that investigates the unknown and alien activities. It introduced a brand new Doctor that's having to sort of cope on with life on Earth. We got a new companion in the form of Liz Shaw, new aliens as well with the Autons, and yeah, all coming together in a 4-part story, all out fun. And then that final episode where all the shop window dummies are coming to life, shooting people on the streets of London or wherever it is. It's just some classic Who at its best. Even more so because they used that for series 1 of Modern Doctor Who with Rose. That is pretty much a homage to this classic story. And I can't praise it enough for being that. Again, it's just a perfect opening story for a brand new era of Doctor Who. But the number one story for season 7 of classic Doctor Who has to belong to Inferno. Spearhead was great at introducing a new era of Doctor Who, and you can't fault that whatsoever. But Inferno just absolutely nailed just everything that they wanted to do for this season, for series 7 of Doctor Who, season 7 of Doctor Who. I love the alternate universe, parallel world, because the Doctor's just tinkering with his TARDIS still. And with it all being set on Earth, it just makes it feel so much real that these threats can definitely happen right on our doorsteps. And it's scary kind of watching these stories and having kind of witnesses in sort of real terms. Pandemic in Doctor Who and the Silurians, threats of war in Ambassadors of Death. Okay, maybe not shop window dummies, but again, just that imagination of those dummies coming to life, as in Spearhead from Space. And then in Inferno, tampering with natural resources that we do not understand or comprehend, and just kind of making a bit of a bodge job of it. Yeah, seeing that happen or going to happen. And yeah, just sometimes it's best to leave well alone sometimes. But yeah, honestly, it's a great story, and I love the hopping between parallel worlds. It's just great to sort of give a different performance as well for these characters, particularly Nicholas Courtney and Caroline John as Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart and Liz Shaw, alternatively, and seeing how a more dictatorial Earth would look like. It's scary stuff and could easily happen in this day and age, but it's also spectacular to watch. So that's why Inferno is my number one for season 7 of Doctor Who. But honestly, I can see why a lot of Whovians have fond memories of season 7. Excellent writing and storytelling. Terrance Dicks and Barry Letts really know what they wanted for Doctor Who. They might not have probably thought about it at the first when they was gifted this Doctor Who on Exile because of budget reasons, from what I gather. But yeah, they turned that around and turned that into a positive, and what a positive. And yeah, there's just been some fantastic stories. Malcolm Hulke obviously contributing, Douglas Camfield amongst others contributing to the directing. And then you got a stellar cast, a brilliant cast with John Pertwee, Caroline John, Nicholas Courtney, John Levine, and then guest stars such as Peter Miles, Falcon Mackay, Jeffrey Palmer. Again, the list goes on. And this is, if anything, it's a perfect time to release season 7 on Blu-ray. Or alternative, I'm sure it's on YouTube or Tubi at the moment across the pond, and it's all here in the UK on BBC iPlayer. So if you haven't watched this season for a while, my fellow Whovians, do check it out. It is brilliant, and if anything, it's probably going to blow you away a little bit. But do you agree or disagree with my ranked list? Let me know in the comments below, and also add your ranked list into the comments. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please like, share and subscribe. Hit the cloister bell for more notifications. Come say hello and follow me on Facebook and X, and do check out my other fantastic Doctor related content on Timey Wimey Review TikTok page, and of course right here on the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. Thanks for your love and support as always, and as the good doctor once said, Smith. Dr. John Smith.